Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Sabatis. I'm a consultant in the performance office at the Connecticut State Department of Education. This session is one in a series of recorded sessions on using the CSDE's data reporting portal, EdSight, to support and inform services for English learner, multilingual learner students. English learner, multilingual learner students are students who, yes, they are English learners in that they are working to develop their level of English language proficiency, but they're also multilingual in that they have a level of proficiency in more than one language. At the end of school year 2022-23, there were more than 50,000 students in Connecticut public schools who were LML. Together, they account for more than 10% of all Connecticut public school students. Now, EdSight, as the student data reporting portal, consists of two parts. Public EdSight, which is a collection of aggregate reports, is located on the CSDE's website. The report that we're going to be talking about today, the L status report, is located in EdSight Secure. EdSight Secure is a restricted data reporting portal with aggregate data, but also student level information. Districts have been given accounts to be able to access EdSight Secure, which they alone manage, and they are able to see information for their currently registered students only. The English Learner L status report, located here, I think is very valuable for ESL departments in answering two basic questions that they often face. One is, we have this new student. Are they an LML? The LML student population is a very mobile one, moving between schools within a district and across districts. And unfortunately, that LML status doesn't always travel very well with a student. That information is not always available in a timely way. Federal law is that for students who move within a district, districts have 2 weeks to identify whether a student is LML, and if they are, to start providing language support services. So given this time crunch, it's often difficult, or it can be difficult, to get the information from the sending district. That's why reports like the English Learner Status Report and also the Student Summary, which is also located in EdSight Secure, are so valuable in being able to provide that information, and particularly provide information about what's been reported about the student to the CSDE's student database, which is PSIS. So, and the important thing here too to note is that in providing this information in a timely way, it helps students fall through the cracks and to receive the services that they're entitled to, that are essentially their civil rights. So, turning to the report, we see first of all that there are two tabs here, and really these are two views of the data, two options. English Learner Roster. These are your students who are currently registered with you, and they have been reported in the most recent PSIS collection as an English learner. This tab, L in the most recent PSIS collection, including those who met mastery, means that these are students who were reported as an English learner in the most recent collection. However, it includes those who are still an English learner and those who met mastery, meaning that they met the standard, they demonstrated a level of proficiency that has now allowed them to exit LML status. So they are no longer an LML. And these two tabs, these have different purpose. They can be used differently to different purposes, and we'll talk about how. So let's say you have that new student and you want to know, are they LML? Well, first of all, to search for them, I would click this tab here, because the possibility exists that this new student may have been LML, but they may have met mastery. So to search, I would start here, click this. And the easiest scenario is if you happen to know their SACID or the 10-digit unique identifier that the CSDE gives to every student, you could enter that information here and search by SACID. If you happen to know their last name, you could also enter that here and search by last name. So let's say that you don't know this SACID and perhaps you're not clear on the last name. And maybe what you're looking for is a list of new students who have come in. You can also use this set of filters to try and figure out and get a list of newer English learner students. So you can filter by grade, and you can pick multiple grades at one time. You can filter by school. You could also use this tab, which I think is a very interesting one, new since the last PSIS collection. The collections that occur in the CSDE's student database occur twice during the year. And they're essentially snapshots of what was true on that date. So one is the October 1 collection. And again, that's true of what was true on October 1st. And then there's also the June collection. And that's a snapshot of what was true on the last day of school. So if you click new since the last collection, what you're saying is, I want to see all the kids who are new to our district since either October 1 or the last day of the prior school year. Let me uncheck that for our purposes right now. You also have this option too. You could click and say, okay, I want to see students who have enrolled, let's say, in the last week or the last 2 weeks. Or maybe if you click all of these, you could say in the last month. Who is that list of kids? Another option is to say, all right, I want to see the students who didn't achieve mastery. That is the kids who are still in LML. Or conversely, if you want to know who are your students who met mastery, you can do that too. Or the students who have no status because they didn't take the lost links. So whatever list you're pulling up, and let me just show the rostering here. Let's say you wanted to see for school A, students who are in the younger grades, 1 through 3. Students who were new since the last collection. And as we're recording this, the last collection was June 2023. So here's our list of students who are in those grades at that school. And this is great right here. It tells you who you filtered for. Who is the group of students you're looking at? And if you want to, you can either, by going to the upper right-hand corner of that table, you could print, you could choose to save the image of this, or you could choose to export the data. And by exporting the data, what you're doing is you are beginning a process that results in you receiving an Excel workbook on your computer with this student information. And in particular, and specifically, it'll be in your download folder. So when you click that you want to export, what comes up is a list of all the potential pieces of information that could be in that download. And let's say for whatever reason, there's a piece of information included here that you're not interested in having. All you have to do is unclick that and it won't be included. But when you've decided on the fields that you want in the download and you're ready to go, just click OK, and then the download will occur. And let me also show you another thing. For any table that's in EdSight Secure, you can rearrange the order of columns. So let's say you wanted to move SACID over to the left. Just click on it, drag it, and there it is. So by using all of these tools, you can find particular students. Now, once you've got that list, let's say that you were looking for this student in particular, and you know that Either they were an L, or perhaps they are currently an L, but you want to see their information. What you do is you double click on their record, and it brings up multiple tabs of information about that individual student. So if you click enrollment history, you're able to see, going back historically, all the information that's been reported about the student demographically, the districts they were in, the schools, other different demographic information, but also information about their English learner status, the program code, and a program description. You can also see their native language. And we can also see special education status. And again, just like that other table, we can click here on the upper right corner of it and export that data to your computer. Other tabs of information about the students include attendance history, if there were any disciplinary incidents, any assessment history, and their last links history. Let's open up the report again. Now, in terms of rostering, if you were looking to create a roster of your English learner students, you'd click on the English learner tab, because these are just the students who are still currently English learners. And for the district, if you wanted district-wide, you wouldn't use any filters and you could download or print that list. Or perhaps if you're creating rosters for particular staff members, you can choose a school or group of schools, you can choose a grade. You can say, if you want to just give them who the new students are, you could click that box. Or students who have just enrolled and give them a heads up. You can click any of these filters and use them to create a roster and to provide that information to the rest of your staff. One practice you could also put in place is maybe setting a time every week or every couple of weeks or once a month, where you come into the report and you check and you look for, okay, who might be new students to the district who've been reported as an English learner. So if you're doing this every week, you take, okay, give me that list of who's new to the district in the last week. Or if you're just going to do this on a bi-weekly basis, then you click that, you select 2 weeks or whatever time frame suits your schedule and your purposes to be able to figure out and to create rosters. So this tool is an incredibly useful one to both figure out the LML status of a student or to do rostering. One limitation with it is it depends on the student being reported as an LML in the most recent PSIS collection. Now, there is a scenario where a student may have been an English learner, say in the prior school year, and they were enrolled during the last links window, which typically is from the beginning of January through the first week of March. And maybe they took the last links, but before the school year ended, they were no longer registered. And so they were not reported and included in the most recent PSIS collection. They may not well show up here. So where you can find them is one of two places. You could check the Last Links Achievement Mastery Report to see if they have scores there for the prior school year. You could also check the Student Summary Report, because that has that full set of lost link scores. So again, this is an incredibly powerful report, and particularly in answering that question, is a student an LML, but also for purposes of rostering. Thank you for your attention.